Hello everyone, I am Bhagyashree Zangle from TE Computer. Today we will learn about the K-mean clustering algorithm, supervised and unsupervised technique and design of analysis of algorithm. So first we see one by one. First K-means algorithm. We implement the K-mean algorithm in Python. So first we have to import the libraries, then mount our database in C drive here. So first we will do the program implementation. So here mounted we are drive which is sent by our database. Then next we import all the libraries which we are required in our program. So here that is the library numpy, pandas and matplotlib.pylot. So these are the library which are required in our program. So and here we are also importing our database, that is the name given to database, that is iris.csv file. Then first numpy we are imported the performing the mathematical calculation here. Then second one is pandas is used for the managing the database, and matplotlib.pylot is used for plotting the graph. Then here we are importing the database. Here from Google Colab we import the file, that is iris.csv file, and then here we are here the database which are included in our iris.csv. Here the database we are describing, and next we are extracting the independent variable. So syntax for extracting the variable basically is x equals to database.iloc bracket colon minus 1 dot value. So here we are extracting the particular database including this value. So colon indicates starting from, and the minus 1 is indicating that the last second minus 1 position. So it will be extracting the independent variable. So as we say extracting the last one position, that is index is negative. So there is finding the optimal number of cluster using the elbow method. Before or learning the elbow method, we see what is meant by clustering. So K-mean clustering, we learn about one by one what is clustering and how the clustering algorithm will be work. So here there are some steps. Here there is some step which we are learning here. So first, what is clustering or K-mean clustering? So K-mean clustering is nothing but algorithm whose main goal is group the supervised whose main goal is group similar element or data point onto same cluster. So here there is a clustering the group on feature. So K indicate that number of cluster which we are used in our graph. So also the integrity is assigned to each data point of one of K group based on the features so that are already provided. So we are considering one example, that is everyone know how the clothes are washed. So first example, that is peel off dirty clothes. Here the example are not mentioned, but I will give you one example so it will be easily understand. Peel off dirty clothes. Suppose you have shifted in hostel and you don't know about how to wash your clothes. You do this in laundry. So how will we do this? So at the end of month, you see there is the peels of dirty clothes and they waiting for you to wash them. So initially you called your mother and asked her how to wash the clothing. So she said that there is a specification of each variety of clothes. Some are clothes are washed in cold water, some are kept in hot water, and there are various specifications for the clothes. So to make this clustering scenario, at that time you need to compose the attribute of water, compose the attribute or compare the attribute, that is water temperature, drying temperature, and so on. So there are starting item. What to think about the definition of based cluster? So well, it is not based on whole cluster, it is purely rely on starting point, and the starting point is nothing called as a centroid. So we are see here the result of the K-mean clustering algorithm are firstly centroid of the K cluster, which can be used to new label data, and second one is label for the training data, which we are assigned to the single cluster. Here we are the step-by-step explanation of algorithm, how the K-mean clustering graphs is look like. So there is a step. So one by one we see the step. First, choose the number of K clusters. So then second one we are choosing any number of cluster. Then second one is select the random K point, the centroid, that is not necessary from your database, so it will be pick up randomly. Then third one is assign each data point to the closest centroid that form the K cluster. And fourth one, compute and place the new centroid of each cluster. So and again the same procedure will be here. Reassign each data point to the new closest centroid. If any reassignment took place, then go to the step 4. Here again go to the this step 4. Otherwise go to the fin. Your model is ready. So see, there is a graphical representation of each step. Here K equals to 3. Then the total number of cluster here will be 3. And is also called cool way to select the cluster. Then randomly here we are selecting the 3 different data points. So there are nothing is a centroid data point. So it shows the distance from point 1 to the cluster. So here we assign the K equals to 3. Assign the centroid. First point to the nearest closer. So assign each data closest centroid, that is here is red one, yellow, and second one is light green. So step number 3, assign each the closest. Then step 4, compute and place the new centroid. Calculate the mean value including the new point, and then for a red cluster. So repeat this process. Measure the distance to the red point. This is cluster, and reassignment took place, and go again further the step number 4. So here calculating the whole process came in algorithm. So first measure the distance, second one is assign, second one is K number of cluster, then second one is assign the centroid, then third one is calculate the cluster using the new point. So here we see the step number 4, and again 5 will be repeat this process. According to the K-mean algorithm, it iterate over again and again. So unless and until data point within the each cluster stops changing. So here see, here within the cluster of some square, here is the graph, that is V list and number of cluster. So following point is reduction in variable for the value graph, and the y point will be considered the number of cluster in our graph. So it look like an elbow. So there is the numerical example. So first we see our code. So in our code there is a also method. So in our code, that is here our code will be independent, extracting independent variable. So here finding in the number of cluster using the elbow method. So first we learn about the elbow method and what is the elbow method will do. So how it is work. So here we see one by one elbow method. Even this we will should picking the random point. Here for calculating the 3 point we use the elbow method. The elbow method is one of the most popular way to find the optimal number of cluster. This method uses the concept of VCSS value. So VS stand for within cluster some square, which define the total variation within a cluster. The formula is calculate the value, it is 3 cluster given below. So VCC equals to summation of PI cluster 1 distance in PI cluster C2 plus summation of PI in cluster 1 distance upon cluster PI C1 2 is the sum of the square between each data point, and centroid with the cluster of 1 is the same for all the 2 terms. So here there is the PI cluster 1 To measure the distance between data point and centroid, we use any method. Marathon distance. To find the optimal value of cluster, the elbow might use. These are the number of steps which we are calculating the elbow method point. So first it execute the k-mean cluster in given database range, that is 1 to 10. Then for each value k, calculate the VCSS value. Then third one is plot the curve between calculate VS value and the number of cluster k. The sharp point of bend or point to the plot look like an R. So the graph is called as elbow method. So here there is a VCSS list. Here the numbers 1000, 2013 like this, and there is a number of cluster. There are 10 cluster, and here the graph will be shown look like elbow, that is optimal number of cluster. So we move, or here we learn about the elbow method. Then we move to the VCS list. So VCSS is used for initialize the value of list VCCS. So using this loop, we are used to concept draw the plot by using VCCS. So value on y-axis is the number of cluster and y-axis. So we are going to calculate the VCS for different k value ranging, that is 1 to 10. So that is range from 1 to 10. So we are use this value. Then again that is for range is 1 is 11. So below code, here it, as we seen on the above code, that is we have used the k-mean class of scale-on. So cluster library from cluster. Then next we have created the VCCS list for initializing the value of VCS. Then initialize is empty. Here we are initializing it empty, which is used to contain the values which is computed for different value of k, that is 1 to 10. Then after that we have initialized the loop. Here we see the loop, that is one range between 1 to 11. So to include the value that is 10th value. So the red part of this code, it contain similar we did earlier topics. So we fitted the model feature, plotted the graph between the number of cluster and VCS. So after executing this code, the graph will be look like, that is elbow method graph. So from the above plot point, we can see the elbow point at here and here likewise. So the number of cluster will be here 10. So after that, training the k-means algorithm is train database. Here the training k-means model on dataset. We have got the number of clusters, so we can now train the model on the database. So that is visualizing the cluster. So to train the model, we use the same line to line of code as we have used above section. That is, but there is, instead of I, we use number. So as we know, there is a 3 cluster here that we need to form. The code is given below. So plt.scatter x y predict equals to 0, then y predict, that is blue label cluster for the first cluster, then second one is also green label, third is red, and fourth one yellow, that is centroid. So we given as the title, use the title method in Python, that is cluster of flower, then labels x label, y label, and then show method are used to show the graph. The first line of above means the second line created dependent variable, that is y predict, to train the model. By executing the line of code, we will get the y predict variable. Here the y predict variable we can check under the variable explorer option in the spider IDE in Python. So we can now compare the value in y predict with original or database and consider their below image. We get the output, that is cluster 1, cluster 2, cluster 3, and 1 is centroid. Cluster 1 is for blue color, then cluster 2 is green, and 3 is red, and centroid is yellow. For visualizing this cluster of flower is, there is a C cluster, so we will visualize each cluster one by one. So we are scatter the plot using SLT, I think, yes, plt.scatter method. This is the function of matplotlib library which we are importing at the starting of the program. So Clustering, it is ranged from 1 to 3. Coordinate that y predict containing the x value showing the matrix future value. So y predict here the ranging value from 0 to 1. Here there is the output. The total image is early shown in a different color, that is green, red and blue. So 2 parameter or database, that is annual income. Here we can also use different database here, that is we are using here flower database, that is iris. So cluster 1, cluster 2, there is a different which we are using, and one is a centroid. So here we all show completed our database, that is one by one see what is the library here used in our program, then which kind of database included, then here the database which are required for our program. There here we are extracting the independent variable, then above for executing this code we get the output, that is here the elbow method graph which look like the elbow. So here the number of clusters, and finally we plot the reduction in isolation here, and y-axis consider the number of clusters, so 1. So is the part we on. Then next one, after moving, then training the k-means model on data set. Also we are calculate all the things here, and then the output we will get here. So step by step we see what is meant by k clustering, elbow method, how to extract the variables. So all the things which we are covered in our program. So I hope you will understand well. Thank you for watching my video.